I've talked to Liam a couple times, and as I said last hour, he's one of my favorite guys to talk to just because there's no BS with him. He's just a cool dude. And he joins us right now, fresh off a win, fresh off a save. The bullpen has been so phenomenal for the A's. Imagine all the stupid people that thought the bullpen would be a problem for the A's this year. All right. Second best record in the league, top of their division. Liam Hendriks joins us. Good morning, Liam. Thank you so much for joining us on a game day. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. No, thanks for having me on a game day. I don't mind. I have nothing else to do.
I'm going to ask you a question everybody asks you, and I apologize in advance for it. But for you personally, for Liam Hendriks, what is the biggest routine difference for you this year has had because of the pandemic and all the rules and everything? Have you been able to kind of stay the same straight line, or have you had to change some of your routine a bit?
I had to change some of it a little bit. Like, I actually ended up ordering some shelving units off of Amazon, and I've got this shelf set next to my locker in the clubhouse here. I've got it's a workout like jump, like you meant to jump on top of it, like a table, but I've been using it as a table. Because, like, I used to sit around, and then at home I'd build these little nanoblock figurines, and on the road I'd read. Well, you can't build a nanoblock figurine without a table because you need a table. So my setup is a little different that way, but other than that, like, it's just not getting the fielders early and kind of time crunching everything in. But I set up my times. I've got half an hour to do this, half an hour to get ready for before the game starts and get it going. But it hasn't changed too much except for wearing a mask in the bullpen, which is still a little weird. But you got to do what you got to do to protect everybody, right?
When we were down there for spring training, I noticed three main things that the A's players do in the clubhouse away from baseball. Number one, obviously, is cards. Number two, I noticed that Mike Fiers and Sean Manaea are very good at that little basketball hoop, little mini hoop they had set up in the clubhouse. And then third, video games, whether it's Call of Duty or as we found out, we got to sit with Chris Davis finally. He's not a big media guy. As long as all we did was talk about Mario Kart, which he's obsessed with. Yep. Do you subscribe to any or all of those as something you do in your free time?
I go back and forth. I go through like spits with the cards, but I don't play the kind of card games these guys play. I go to the older generations to play some cribbage and Rummikub and stuff like that. So like I've got a little more of an acquired taste of it, I like to call it, rather than just the generic like pluck or spades or whatever everyone kind of plays now. Sure. But they've been doing the cards, but all on their phones. So nothing is in person because of touch points and all this.
Right.
Look, I think you're mistaking good and repetition with Mike and Manaea, though, because those are both horrible at basketball. But they do it a lot. So we don't have the basketball this year. We've got a putting green.
Oh.
So it used to be like after the games last year, you would go and have a throw. Now it's the putting green, so it's less like things you really have to worry about touching. It's just the club, which gets disinfected before each person's use, which is always fun when there's a bunch of guys post game in a dark room with loud music and now flashing lights trying to disinfect the golf club. But it's the times we're in. So I play video games every now and then. I like to not play video games when I'm with my wife. So if she's on the road, not this year, but in general terms, I don't play. But yeah, like on the road in the hotel rooms and stuff like that. I mean, we don't really want to go out and about and walk around cities and stuff. So we kind of are sequestered inside, and I'll dabble between like Call of Duty or right now I'm hooked on Formula One. So it's I got my own steering wheel that I travel with now, so we're fully prepared.
Liam Hendriks, A's closer, joining us this morning. Hey, listen, we could do an entire segment on what goes on in the locker room, but our bosses will get mad if we don't talk a little actual baseball.
Screw them.
Just kind of want to talk about, Liam, what's kind of the mindset going into the season, knowing that you have 60 games versus 162 games? Did you guys get that like sense of urgency immediately when you started going into those summer camps?
It's always tough for the A's because we have been a perennially slow starting team. But in saying that, we always have good August and Septembers. So we got a little lackadaisical at the very, very start where we came out against the Angels and then we had a bit of a rough stretch there against some of the NL teams. But for the most part, we've been pretty focused on making sure everything works. Like luckily at the start, the bullpen was able to kind of pick everybody else up, and then it went through a little bit of stage where the offense was going to do it, and then yesterday the starting pitching kind of did it. So we're in that little bit of a mixture stage right now where we're not quite all firing at the same time, but when that happens, we'll be laughing all the way to the bank. So it's just there was definitely the sense of urgency at the start, especially after we dropped a couple games. That what is going on? We need to figure this out, and then guys showed up and started figuring it out with a little bit quicker than usual, which is always nice.
Liam Hendriks joining us. Baseball stuff's all great and all, but let's talk about cribbage for a second. Now, I love cribbage. I fell in love with cribbage when I lived for a winter in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we couldn't go outside. And that and spades are my two favorite card games to play. My problem is there aren't a lot of people out here, at least in my world, that know how to play cribbage. Do you have you established cribbage partners on the team? Do you ever play four-way? Are there enough people for that? Or do you do most of your playing online like I do on my phone?
So it depends on the team that we're with. This year we haven't been playing as much, obviously, because you can't touch the pegs.
Right.
But in previous years it was Kendall Graveman, Ryan Madsen, and Ross Detweiler. And then it was Blake Trinan, Chris Hatcher, myself, and Danny Coulomb. So to the point where I ended up getting a custom board made with the A's logo on it. Like, this guy in Detroit does fantastic work. I found him on Etsy. And does this, like, he stains the wood. He can give you either a 2-track, a 3-track, or a 4-track.
Nice.
And so the middle part, so it's just a circle thing, but in the middle part he was able to do the A's logo. And you can take the A's logo out, and that's where the deck of cards fits. That's where the metal pegs sit. So it's a really, really cool setup. So I was using that, but in the last couple of years, I got away from it a little bit, just because in 18, when I went down to AAA, guys really didn't know how to play it because they're all 19 and stupid.
Right.
And then I get back up, and I was like, no, I'm just going to try and be myself, just relax and kind of avoid everybody right now. And then last year, I kind of just ran with that train a little bit, and it seemed to do its job. So I'm just doing that same thing again, where I'm reading and about to start the new Twilight book that just came out, because my wife's about halfway through it now, and she's obsessed with it. So
I'm gonna give our guy Fernando, not that you'll ever use it, but I'm gonna give him the app, and I'm gonna give him my little screen name. I would love nothing more. You're on the road or something, you're bored. It's a free app. I don't have anybody. I can play with like nameless, faceless people. I'd love to play around a cribbage with you someday. So I'm gonna give him that to give to you. If you ever get bored on the road or something, just look me up and let's have a round, man. That is such a blast of a game.
Yeah, let's get it done. I mean, I've got nothing else to do. Usually I'm just aimlessly scrolling through my phone, which can be dangerous. So,
yeah, I can.
I mean, I always need something productive to be getting done.
Last thing for you, and again, Jay's the only one that asked a real baseball question. It occurs to me that custom board you had, the pegs, white, green, yellow. I'm trying to think of a fourth color, or was it different?
No, it was actually, so we had, they're all metal. So one was chrome, one was like a bronzy gold, and then there was black.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, like, you keep it, like, yeah, because originally I got a board with so I'd had two boards made by this guy. One said 31 on it, which is my number at the time, and then the other one was the A's logo. So, I mean, all I know is that Terry Francona is a huge cribbage guy with the Indians.
Okay.
Him and Brian Shaw used to get to the field and then get called in and play cribbage when they were with the Indians. And I mean, I don't know if there's a method to his madness, but that guy threw like 75 appearances with 70 innings every single year when he was with the Indians. So, I mean, maybe there's something to it. The more cribbage you play, the more innings you can throw, the more appearances you can get into. Maybe I know a trend here.
Well, I apologize. They didn't let you know this would be the toughest interview of your career. Sorry for all the hardball questions, and we appreciate it.
I know. I mean, I've been battling. I've only had one coffee so far, so this has been tough.
Great job this year. We're all rooting for you, and we're honored, of course, to be the partner for the A's up here in Sacramento and the surrounding area. Go kick some ass today. Keep going, and we'll talk to you later in the year.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.